Hey everyone, Happy New Year. Welcome to my first video of 2024, and today we're going to be looking at the Corsair 5000D Airflow. A little bit of an older case now, but I'll tell you exactly why I'm going to cover this after I quickly pay some bills with this video sponsor. Acer is proud to present the Predator Orion X, the latest and greatest desktop, now in a small spaceship inspired form factor. Powered by the top-of-the-line Intel i9 3900KS processor and NVIDIA RTX 40 series graphics, the Orion X is a compact powerhouse. From doing work, creative, animation, editing and gaming, this is sure to handle it with ease. You can also enjoy some of the latest and greatest games with 3 months of free Microsoft Game Pass included with this and any PC or laptop in the Acer Nitro or Predator range, featuring titles such as Starfield, Forza Motorsport, Minecraft Legends and many others. Visit the link down below to learn more. So like I said in the intro, this is a little bit of an older case now, but there's a couple of reasons that I want to look at one. I missed the original sampling when it first launched. It was a case that I was really keen on looking at because I had a 4000X I bought from Scan, 69 quid, nice. And I really wanted to see what the bigger version was like. This is a really good potential option for a new CPU cooler test rig, as the 4000D can only support up to a 280 in the roof. I like to keep the same fans in the front and the back for consistency, especially doing CPU coolers. And then I could just put the cooler in the top, and then any fans that are with it, go with that for testing. So it could make a good option for a new CPU cooler test rig. The kind of initial content that we're going to do though, all of the things you see here were sent out by Scan UK, one of the big UK retailers. They currently have a bundle for the case and the power supply. If you want to get them together, if you're doing a new build, you're likely going to need one. And you can also get the Corsair Type 4 12 volt high power cables as well, so you can get a really nice clean cable. Don't have to use any of the fugly adapters that come with the 40 series cards. We've also got the 7800X 3D, something else that I wanted to look at as well, so thank you to Scan for making that possible. As you probably guessed, this is all going to be used in the build. I've also requested a graphics card to go with this. That will be absolutely epic if it pays off, especially with the next 3D processor. I'll say no more, but hopefully that will happen. So let's get into the case. Sorry for the waffle, but I want to tell you about the plans because I think it's going to be an epic system. And I've loved my 4000X, so let's hope the 5000 is just as good. So there we have the 5000D Airflow. You can get a white and black version. I believe you can get a glass front as well, rather than the kind of Airflow perforations. But personally, I'm all for the Airflow nowadays. Do you have to clean things a little bit more regularly, but I think it's well worth it for the Airflow benefits. Let's go round the case. We'll start on the top because it's what I can see quite well. We've got a nice perforated panel. This just pops out. It's got little push pins to take that out. Reveals a big old dust filter that's taped down. It just comes out, and then you can see the support for the 360mm radiator in the top. First saw that little yellow accent on the 4000X. Wasn't really a fan of it at the time, but it slightly has grown on me over the years. That just goes back in place like that. At the front there, we've got some connectivity. We've got a power button, 2 USB 3s, a USB 3.1 Type C, a headphone, microphone combo jack, also a reset button. This is a very clean case, just on first impressions, just looking around it. This is one that Scan use quite a lot for their 3XS systems, which I can understand because it is very sleek and quite minimal, but still looks the part. So let's have a look at the front. Again, pops off much like the 4000D, 4000 Airflow. You can just take that off, and you have got the fan filter there as well. There we can see our support for our fan, so we can do up to 360mm radiator. You can do 3 140s as a pre-installed 120, or 3 120s, whatever combination you want. There's the pre-installed 120mm that I mentioned. In terms of the fans that I'm going to use in the build, I'm not too sure yet. Any suggestions are always welcome. Let's just take a look at the back before we go inside the case. We have got the rear 120mm exhaust I/O on the left hand side. Standard 7 expansion brackets. There's also 2 vertical mounts as well. Then the power supply goes in the bottom of the case. That takes up to a 225mm maximum length. There's also a dust filter on the bottom there for it as well. Pretty thick glass, looks like 4mm. Into the belly of the beast, we can do it up to an extended ATX motherboard if you'd like to. I believe this cover does need to come off to do that though, but you can, I'm sure, take that off quite easily. You can also see in there as well, there's a slate for some SSD and hard drives. We'll see that on the other side when we go around there. On the top, we've got some cutouts for the cables to go through. No grommets though, which is a bit of a shame. I can fill some for the 24 pin and any graphics card cables that you might pull through, but they're not ones that are visible, so a little bit of a shame I think to cover up the ones you're not going to see, but There we go. And then at the bottom of the case, we've got a couple of more cutouts as well if you're going to bring the cables up through. Maybe if you're going to run a 12-volt high power or something, you can bring that from under there. There's a couple of screws at the front I've just undone that allows you to take out the bracket so you can do all your fans, AIOs, radiators, put all those together, then bring that in after the fact, so it can make life a little bit easier. The shroud at the front of the case, you can actually see it's quite a visible difference in the colour because this is plastic and this is metal, but this is actually removable and you do get an additional one included. That just pops out like that. So this one's for more primarily if you're going to use an AO in the front where you've got a radiator and then some fans. And this one is a slope design, so you can have a nice little different part to go in the front of the case. I'll just put this in. So there we go, that's now in. I'll do a little side by side so you can see the difference. I think that really cleans up the case, especially if you're going to use an AO in the roof like I will be. It's a nice little option to include. It's a digital Corsair. Does mean you can see some cables at the back, so something you just need to be a bit more conscious of, but otherwise, nice little addition to include. Now let's talk about max sizes of things you can fit in. The NHD 15 Knock 2 Air, one of the most popular air coolers, can fit in this case with 5mm to clear. It's 165mm high and you've got 170 to play with, so you can do that no problem. In terms of your graphics cards, even with the 4086, you've still got loads of space. This can take up to a 420mm card and they aren't really that big yet, so you've got loads of space in this case for whatever you want to do. Same thing for the back of the case, just a couple of thumb screws. The top one of this case was really tight and you haven't got any options to use a screwdriver on there as well, so make sure they're not too tight, Corsair, because otherwise we're not going to get it open. On the back of there is a big old dust filter you can take off to clean as well. So the back of the 5000D is segmented. We have got a nice little cable management panel you can open up. It does slide off as well to make it easier, especially if you're going to have it stood up. So take that off. Got loads of options for SSDs and hard drives. You can do 4 2.5-inch drives and 2 3.5-inch. In one of the hard drive bays we have got some accessories. Let's have a look at what we've got included. So we've got some additional straps for cable management. We've got some additional standoffs. I'm guessing if you're going to use this for EATX. And we've also got another one of these little posts. You can see one here, so when the back panel goes on it's not going to squash anything. So you can add an additional one in there if you want to. Got some nice cable management channels on the top right hand side as well. You can put those little straps through as well to keep the cables down, so great for your EPS connectors. On the left hand side we've got some additional fan mounting points like you saw on the back of the panel. You have got that filter. You can take this bracket off as well if you don't want to use it. We've got 3 screws on the left and there's some more just under where these little straps are. There are the grommets that I mentioned on the other side. You can see those there now. And then we've also got a little fan controller as well. So there's 2 fans included and you've got an additional 4 spots. So you can do up to 6 on this. Nice little bonus to see in this case. Let's have a look at the cables that we've got. So we've got a SATA power for the hub that's at the top, 4-pin for PWM. Then we've got all of our front panel connections. So we've got a reset switch, power LED. There's a USB 3 header and the USB Type-C. The front panel audio and also a power switch. So there's a look around, well, so much lighter now, there's no panels on it. There's a look around the 5000D Airflow. I like it, I really do. It's quite minimal. It's like a less is more kind of design. But now, as you know, I've started to do reviews in this case. Put my usual bench setup in there and give you an idea of performance rather than just a walk around. So let me get my system into this. I'll come back with the results and tell you about what my build experience was like and the overall review 2024 style. So it's now the next day. I've got some experience with the case. I did, as you can see, go for the all white in there as well. I put an LED strip in the front just to brighten it up a little bit, especially it is a black case on film. Is quite difficult to film. Overall though, I do like the case. It's very simple to build in. Bit of advice, if you are going to put an AIO in the roof, I'd plug in your EPS connectors for your motherboard before you put the motherboard in, because getting your fingers up there is going to be quite difficult. It's fine with an air tower because obviously you've got loads of space, but if you have a 30mm radiator and then your 25mm fan, might be a little bit tricky. So let's talk about the temperatures from the 5000D. It is as configured, so we have got the 120 in the front and then the 120 in the rear. They are set to 1600 RPM with fan speed reducers, as I always test. Any fan that's 2000 RPM goes down with reducers on, so it's all fair. All the fans have got the same speed going through, so it's just down to the actual physical performance of the fan and then the other components. So everything's nice and consistent. We did see a high of 77.8 with the 5000D. The 4000X, I saw a high of 78.7. So down to temperature wise, that is 60 degrees on the 4000X and 59.6 on the 5000D Airflow. I think they're clues in the name that Airflow does push obviously a lot more air through. Nothing really to resist it, whereas the glass panel on the front of the 4000X, a little bit more restrictive as you only got the little side bits to pull in air. So the Airflow version is certainly very cool, especially with just a singular fan in the front. I would like to see 2 included with this case. I think one's a little bit stingy and it doesn't look that great either. Especially if you're looking from the inside, you can just see one fan. Very easy to build in, like I said at the start. I did remove the hard drive tray. You can move that as well. You can do 3 different positions if you do want to actually keep that in there. As you can see with this shroud, it does leave a lot less cable management space. The power supply goes up to about here, so you've got about 5 or 6 inches of cables to play with. You've got to tuck them all down the back. Another thing I'd do is, if I was leaving this in a permanent setup, is remove the fan mounts that are on the back. If you're not going to use them, you can see through using the additional shroud. I think it would be a lot nicer to just take that bracket out, then there's just a solid back panel rather than another piece of metal to see. So yeah, overall great case. Any more questions, do let me know in the comments box below and I'll get back to you. Any comparisons you might like to see with other cases as well, because this is kind of a in the middle between like the P400A Performance Edition, in between the Thermaltake 300 and 500 as well. So any comparisons we could always do as well. Stay tuned for the build that I said about at the start. It's going to be really quite a good build. Looking forward to doing that. Get subscribed and do the bar so you don't miss it. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you to Scam for me to look at, and I'll see you all in the next one.